Hey, just a heads up. This video is sponsored by Nreal. However, they did not provide editorial input on this video. Everything you'll hear today are my opinions and mine alone. I truly love the Steam Deck. I love it. It's one of the geekiest gadgets to come out in recent years. I mean, the fact that you can run games written for DirectX through a compatibility layer on a non-native operating system better than you could on Windows portably is mind-boggling. My time for games is very limited, but the Deck has made it so easy to just pick up and play, if even for just a few minutes. There's really only one major complaint I have with it, and that's the display. Look, I understand that Valve had a price target they needed to hit, but I've recently been playing Splatoon 3 on my Nintendo Switch OLED, and it's so much better. The colors are just way more vibrant, and while peak luminance is similar, the massively improved dynamic range puts the Switch's OLED display in a whole different league. The Deck's lousy screen is fine for short little gaming spurts, but when I want to mash out a longer play session, I've been using these, the Nreal Air. In short, these are AR glasses designed to be used primarily with Snapdragon 888 Android phones, but they can also be used with iOS devices, the Steam Deck, or any HDMI-capable device. Here's how they work. The top of each lens houses a Sony OLED microdisplay with a 1920 by 1080 resolution, so that's 3840 by 1080 across, full HD per eye. Now, at first glance, that doesn't seem very high resolution, at least when not compared to something like, say, the Oculus Quest 2. But if you've ever put on a pair of VR goggles, you've most certainly noticed the screen door effect, so called, because you can actually see the grid lines in between the individual rows of pixels. The fix is to either decrease the field of view, increase your density of pixels, or do a combination of both. Now, the human eye can't perceive beyond about 55 to 60 pixels per degree, but VR headsets, they're not even close to that number. The Oculus, Zucky boy, the Meta Quest 2 is one of the densest VR headsets on the market at a mere 21 ppd. That's not great. Now remember, the target is a pixels per degree of about 60. The Nreal Air clocks in at an incredible 49 ppd, meaning that not only do you have to focus really hard to see a screen door effect, but the glasses have a higher perceived sharpness and resolution than any VR headset ever made, certainly one that I've ever tried. So the question becomes, how? Well, the displays in the Nreal Air are tiny, just 1.8 centimeters diagonal, so the pixel density is huge. Furthermore, because of the reflective prisms that allow you to see through the glasses into the real world, your eyeball's minimum focus distance is tricked. It's a really clever solution to a very real technical problem. Now, this does mean that the field of view is narrower than your average VR headset, but at 46 degrees, it's still respectable enough, and you can achieve a 201-inch equivalent display from 9 feet away. And the screens are gorgeous. They are insanely sharp and bright at an effective focus luminance of about 400 nits, making them even usable outdoors. Now, of course, your contrast ratio will be dependent on the ambient lighting conditions, since these are augmented reality glasses. But in a dark room, or with the included light shield, you can achieve a bananas 100,000 to 1 contrast ratio. Now, we'll come back to the experience wearing these things, but let's talk for just a second about the glasses themselves. You're certainly still going to get double takes from people walking close by to you, but I don't think they're as socially ostentatious as your average HMD would be in public. They mostly look like normal sunglasses from afar, dare I even say fashionable ones at that. But more importantly, for a product like this, they're comfortable. Those that struggle with PWM flickering from most OLED displays will be pleased to hear that the Nreal Air are the first AR glasses to obtain flicker-free certification from German testing firm TÜV Rheinland. And physical comfort, well, it's enhanced thanks to flexible temple hinges, an adjustable rake system to change the lens pitch, moldable nose pads to modify nasal bridge positioning, and their light 79-gram weight. Now, make no mistake, they are absolutely heavier than your average pair of sunglasses. They're even a little heavier than my Ray-Ban Stories, and I found that the ear hooks, well, they struggled to reach my ears on my big old noggin. But despite that, I could still wear them for about an hour and a half before I needed a break. Now, to reduce weight, the Nreal Air, they don't have internal batteries. They receive power instead from your device over a USB-C cable that stealthily exits the left temple tip. you plug into your intended device and you are ready to go. It is impossible for us to capture the sharpness and the color and the immersion of the Nreal Air with a mere camera, but we want to try our best to simulate and capture the idea of what it's like, because the headset is frankly really powerful when attached to a Snapdragon 888 Android phone running the Nreal Nebula mixed reality environment. The headset has a gyroscope built in, so that gives you 3 degrees of freedom for head tracking, and then you can use your phone as a gyroscopic remote. Using the two in tandem, you can utilize their AR space, which allows you to browse the web, you can play an extremely limited selection of AR games, you can work out with their AR cycling app, and you can aircast your phone's display. It's neat, and Nreal says that they are committed to bringing new content into the future, but frankly, as it stands today, there's just a lack of app support, and with limited input controls, it mostly feels like a slightly gimmicky, content-deficient Oculus Quest trying to force itself to live in the real world. I think that the Meta environment is better suited for their more expensive, more powerful Nreal Lite, and that the Nreal Air, this headset, is at its best when it's in mirror mode. This, in short, turns your glasses into a static, massive 130-inch equivalent 16:9 display. Now, on devices that support USB-C, like the Steam Deck, you plug the headset in, the Deck's display will shut off to preserve its own battery, and you get the most gorgeous projection right in front of your eyes. Even with a thesaurus, I cannot come up with words to describe how mind-blowingly beautiful this screen looks, and that's not a platitude. I'm not being paid to praise the screen. My opinion is just that it is glorious. The environment is vibrant, it is sharp, and it is huge. Playing Cuphead on my Steam Deck, the hand-drawn characters spring to life with depth and definition that is frankly just not seen on the Deck's LCD. The response time is even better than the built-in display, and with more precise input realization, you have a better gaming experience. Not to mention that these screens are so tiny that they draw significantly less power than the built-in screen. So I've actually seen playtime increase on my Deck's battery as a result of using these. My sole complaint is that because all of the processing and output is done by the host device, you can only get head tracking on Android. On the Deck, the display is fixed, right in front of your eyes. Nreal appears to be really active with their community, and they've acknowledged the demand for head tracking on the Deck, even alluding to it being a work in progress, which is awesome because it's already a fantastic accessory in my opinion, but having 3 degrees of freedom really would make it a must-own companion device for the Deck. Look, it's not just great on the Steam Deck. I watched a whole movie with it using my iPhone, and the experience was really good. If the host device you want to use doesn't support video or power over USB-C, that would be the iPhone, you're going to need the Nreal adapter, which is a separate $59 purchase. Now, this device houses its own battery to power the headset and control input. So on one side, you plug in the glasses, and on the other side, you've got an HDMI port, so you can input, well, literally anything you want. It's also cleverly designed to perfectly accommodate the Apple Lightning AV adapter. Remove the female-to-female HDMI section and Bob's your uncle. The iPhone's display mirrors 1:1, so you can browse the web, play games, etc. But when you want to watch video content, it acts just as any other HDMI device would. Remember, these are see-through glasses, so I found myself immersed watching an IMAX-sized movie, but also able to shift my focus through the lenses to reply to a message on my phone screen without removing the headset or even stopping playback on the film, which I thought was awesome. It's really neat. Speaking of immersion, the glasses don't get in the way of your ears, so you could wear a pair of headphones, or in my case, I was able to wear AirPods for maximum immersion. But if you accidentally forget them, there are built-in speakers, and they do an okay job. They're not super high fidelity, but they are hyper-directional. With that said, they do bleed, so do not expect complete privacy. They're handy in a pinch. Look, I was very skeptical when Nreal reached out, and with all sponsored content, I require time to use and like the product before I move forward to agreeing to do a video. I literally have an opt-out clause written in every single one of my contracts if I just don't like the product. I did not expect to like these as much as I did. They are so good and so portable that I'll be traveling with them in the future. I've been using them to play games for 30 minutes before bed. Heck, I may even get a second pair to keep in my car so I can watch YouTube while I'm waiting on errands. Maybe that's pathetic, but here we are. I'm also sick and really excited about the prospect of using them with Stage Manager when iPadOS 16 releases. There's a second display, but a display you can see through? That could be cool. Now look, these are not cheap at $379, but I also don't think that they're overpriced. You would be hard pressed to get a better looking display for $380, not just in glasses form, but period. The displays are that gorgeous. If the budget can accommodate such a luxury, I think that these are perfect for dorm-bound students that don't have room for a TV, but also don't want to watch everything on a laptop or a phone. The Nreal are available to order using the link below starting today. The first 500 orders, they'll receive a special AR t-shirt for free, and by so doing, you support Snazzy Labs. I really like these things, and I hope that comes across in video. This is a genuine reaction. They are super cool, and I will continue to use them in the future. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But most importantly, and as always, stay snazzy.